My name's Dave Dubeau, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content.
We're in for a special treat today, you guys, because my special guest is not only a very accomplished real estate entrepreneur in her own right, but Jen Maldonado, zooming in from beautiful Austin, Texas, is also amazingly accomplished at one of our favorite things, which is raising private capital. And she's really developed a passion for helping fellow female real estate entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, to raise capital for their deals. So I'm super excited to have this conversation. I'm also super curious to find out what the similarities and the differences are between raising capital for men and for women. So Jen, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Well, I'm super excited to be here with you, Dave. I was looking forward to spend this time with you. We have been planning this for a long time.
We have. Yeah. So here we are. We're making it happen. So Jen, before we jump into the whole capital thing, very briefly, if you don't mind, give us the Coles Notes version of what you do in real estate, what kind of properties you like to buy, what your buy box is, what the portfolio looks like. Just give us a little snapshot, if you would, please.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a very seasonal investor, right? I learn different assets, different types. I go to a market that I like and I figure out what kind of asset works in there. With that being said, I buy multifamily commercial, right? When the time is right. Right now, it's a little bit weird for that type of asset. I develop 1 to 4 units specifically. Now we are getting into the modular development, which has been a great adventure. And one of my favorite assets in the past 6 years has been the extended stay hotels, specifically the economic model. And the reason for that, Dave, is we have been partnering up with government contracts, nonprofit organizations. Yes, the returns are great, but we have get involved with them, making a change in people's life, which it aligns with what we do, right? A strategy meets soul, where you can make a lot of money, but change people's life. So, and that's how my portfolio looks.
I'm really curious, the extended stay hotel side of things, who is the end user for that, and how are we changing people's lives in that respect?
Yes. Thank you for asking that question. Regularly, what we have is contractors, people moving from cities, people who cannot apply for an apartment building. Some people don't like apartment buildings, and extended stay hotel is the closest to it. And it allows them to live there. And some of my partners and I have people who has been living there for over 15 years.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
So it's very, very interesting. A lot of people also that go to record a movie, right? They tend to do contracts with the extended stay hotels for the crew. However, to your point, what we have done different is we ended working with, for example, the Maricopa County in Phoenix, and we were hosting the homeless, and we were putting programs together with different nonprofit organizations to train some of the homeless so they can have a job, they can learn new skills. We give them the survival, right, skills, and we start priming them so they can be out of the homeless shelter specifically. And what we have found out is that some of them want to be out of there. They just need a place, a home. And what we have been focusing in is let's create a home for those that came out of a broken home. And because of that, we don't only work with homeless, we also are working now with addiction recovery, in the addiction recovery system, teaching them new skills, helping them recover from these challenges. And also, we are looking at the foster kids, because what a lot of people don't know is if you look at the homeless population, 70% of them come out of the foster kid.
I had no idea.
Yes. And if we can correct that, if we can help them, if we can create a home for them, right? They will know what a home means and they are not going to end homeless. So we can start helping remove some of the root cause. It's not the main root cause, but at least we can tackle the big problem and reduce the homelessness. That's one of the goals. And also there's a big percentage of the foster kid who are also part of the addiction issues, right? So we're working on that environment, learning from the numbers. We are very data informed. And I think that that's the part that is helping us is how do we create a experience for the individuals dealing with emotional hurdles, right? Because all of this is inside of our heart and minds.
That sounds really, really good. Now, kind of wish you guys would come up to my neck of the woods because we've got the homeless challenge in our city as well. I live in a small city in British Columbia, Canada, and they have turned quite a number of motels into these kind of residences for people with homeless challenges, mental health challenges, addiction challenges. And quite frankly, most of them are a complete nightmare because I don't think they're being managed very well. The crime rate in those areas has skyrocketed, violence in those areas. I mean, it's a mess. So how are you able to, keep a lid on things in these kind of properties with such challenging tenants, clients, whatever you call them?
Well, what we have done, Dave, and I think that this is what people are missing. All of us have our strengths, right? Yeah. And I'm not going to say that I was the creator of this. We just happened to have one of our people who was living in one of our hotels. He used to be a Green Beret. Mm-hmm. And as we were getting to know him, he let us know, hey, I can do more than just pick up trash. I can help you guys with maintenance. And from maintenance, he became our director of maintenance. And then we have the conversations because I like to have this with the employees, but I grew very close to him. And he told me about this dream that he had about creating a home for veterans and opportunities. Mm-hmm. So guess what? I love a lot of our people helping manage these areas where veterans, that they have that discipline and structure, mm-hmm. and having that structure have helped this population stay under control. Plus, also, we have partnered with the government, right? With the police department, with the security department, and we have created an environment that they know they have to follow the rules, right? Mm-hmm. But more than that, it's the combination of care, structure, and discipline with the veterans that need a purpose in life, right? They're out of that environment and now they're finding something to do. And that's what we have been doing, like bringing veterans partnerships that help us manage these situations. Also bringing people who have been on those situations that they understand deeply what it means to be an addict, what it means to be out of there, and what kind of demons, right, they're dealing with daily. And it's with them that we have been able to create these family-oriented areas. So it's not just I live here, but they start feeling like this is home. But it's using other people's talents and all of those things that a lot of people overlook. Sometimes they're right there under your nose, but that's how we're managing that.
Very, very smart. I love it. That's what we need. A little bit of get some of those military guys in there with some of the discipline and the background. Smart. Okay, well, let's switch topics to something I'm also very, very curious about. You have become an absolute master at raising private capital, Jen. And now you've developed another passion, which is helping other women in real estate to raise private capital. So first things, before we jump into the weeds there, how did that come about? Why did you decide that you really needed to focus on, or really wanted to focus on, helping other women real estate investors raise capital better?
I will say that sometimes I wish I can take credit, but I ended by accident in many of these things, right? Yeah. I will say that when I left my engineer career and I started doing real estate, I have so many ideas on the businesses I wanted to do. And I like every real estate asset. And it was a blessing and a curse. Mm-hmm. I went through so many assets trying to get expert in everything that I ended with little to no money, right? $35 on my account. And I was put in the position that either I go and get a job or I make this work. And in that process, someone showed me about the other people's money. How do you work with other people's money? And that was fascinating for me because it has to deal with how do you look at the numbers, right? But also, how do you create a relationship with a person that is not just about a transaction, but is deep and it goes beyond that? And what happened is I found that I have these skills and I started enjoying that more, Dave, than going and doing a flipping deal with contractors. I still do once in a while, but it's not my favorite thing to do. But what I also noticed that is as a woman, I was able to talk to people and find out that it wasn't only about the returns, the numbers, the spreadsheets. It was about what they really wanted to do with the money that we're creating to build wealth. And that allowed me go deeper and create very strong relationship, right, with other retail investors, family offices, understanding their mission. So to your point, how does it grow to in the women's side, right? Yeah. When I was talking to the guys, it was all about the hype, the structure, the numbers, everything. And I'm like, okay, that's the how. Yeah. But how come I can talk to the same person and they will give me 400,000 and the same other partner, they will give them 100,000? What is different? And what I noticed is that I decided to do a trial to see, what is that I'm doing right and what is that I'm doing wrong, right? Because I wasn't as aggressive as the guy going for the bigger numbers. I'm going to say it at first, right? That will be raising 100 millions. I was raising 5 million. And I'm like, why can't they do that? And I don't feel confident like that. So a couple of things I discovered in the journey. So I took 30 women, a few men there too, and we experiment. What is really making the change? Can we raise $1 million in 90 days with them? So what I noticed is that the women were capable of getting more money out of their investors because they were taking the time to understand their person. They didn't see it as a transaction. While the guys were very aggressive, yes, they went for the bigger checks, the bigger things, but everything was about hype, a structure, how do you do it? And I'm like, what is happening here? Right? And as I was dealing with that, what I figure out is that, yes, women will be more shy when it comes to building a big portfolio because we did not inherit all the good things that you guys inherit about the confidence, taking risks and all of that. We are very apologetical. We tend to be very shy, not very confident in what we're doing, right? And we have to be perfect until we dare to do more of this. While from the guys are more, they have more courage, right, to do certain things. And I start learning both of them. And I figure out, oh my God, if we want to help women, yes, we need to learn the how. That's a must.
Right.
But we are carrying inheritance and scripts in our lives that are just holding us back. And not only that, one of the things I love about working with women, Dave, is that when we raise capital, we do great projects, we do better. Sorry, and that's a statistics. 20% of our of the profits are more or bigger than the projects on the guys. And it's like, if we're doing better, why we're not doing more projects, right? Yeah. Because we love to do our homework. We love to get into the weeds. We love to get the details. So if we can combine what I call the female and the male energy in one spot, we can get there, right? We can show how to really raise capital. And then when we also place some of this capital into women's, and by 2030, a big portion of the wealth is going to be passed to women. If we can give them a way that they can make their own decisions, women don't only make money, they also impact communities. They put it back in their communities. So that triggered my mission. Like, if we can start changing communities, I know the guys are focused on other things too, right? But the women are focused on creating a better community. And we need that, especially here in the States. We need more nurturing, more creation, more love, more help, more humanity and nurturing, right? Than what we need before. And that's why I got so passionate about it. I'm like, I need to help my girls. We need to do this, right? Mm-hmm. And those are some of the things I start noticing in the differences. It's like, wow. So, and of course, this is so experiential in regards to the emotional side, the things that we have learned. It's been in the business for over 10 years. That's what I have learned from the capital raisers in the female or male side. But that's how I got into this mission, Dave.
Hey there, if you're a capital raiser, a syndicator, or a fund manager, and you're looking for a steady flow of incoming accredited investor leads, then go ahead, grab a free copy of my new book, How to Get 20 Accredited Investor Meetings Every Month Without Cold Calling, Networking, or Chasing People. You can get that at 20accreditedinvestorsbook.com. Again, that's the number 20accreditedinvestorsbook.com.
That's very cool. Very cool. So if I understood you correctly, Jen, the big difference is typically guys are very just bottom line oriented and they're just trying to convince people with the numbers to invest. They got more confidence normally, not all the time, obviously, but more confidence. So they're going for the bigger numbers, but they're not making the connection with their investors. It's all transactional. It's very superficial. So the investor doesn't feel fully bought into that syndicator, that capital raiser. So they might invest, but they certainly don't invest everything they could invest, even though the male typically tries to get the big check. On the other hand, women tend to be a little bit more shy, not as aggressive as the men, but once they connect with an investor, typically they go much deeper with that relationship, scrape beneath the surface, find out what is important to the investor, kind of really what do they want to do with the money? What impact do they want to have? What goals do they have through their investment in addition to making money, kind of more purpose driven? And when they find that, then like you said, they're able to raise 2, 3, 4 times more from that same investor than a guy could. So you figured that out working with those 30 women. And then you kind of saw what the yin and the yang was there, the male energy and the female energy. And you're helping women to get more of what they might be lacking so they can do bigger and better deals. And then you also found not only are women, once they connect with people, they're better at raising capital from them, but they tend to do better with the deals because it sounds like they're a little bit more detail focused. So they're typically investing in deals that have better returns than male deals do. And at the same time, a lot of women are really attracted to projects that have a community benefit versus just a financial benefit. And that really impacts their investors as well. Did I pick everything up there?
Yes, you did. You did. You just summarized it so well. And it's so interesting because pretty much that's what's happened in general, right? There are exceptions too. Yeah. And one of the things I love too is in the past, I didn't used to ask for the big checks. I'm like, yeah, let's do 100. That's enough. And then the more I start hanging out with the guys, it's like, I am not asking for more money, right? And it was just a matter of doing this. And when I did that, oh yeah, I can give you $1 million. And I'm like, what? Right? What are you talking about? Like suddenly, right? It was like these tests of the relationship. They love it, but it gets even better because of the connection and the trust that we develop. Dave, I never did marketing. All my investors are referrals and it's friends from friends. So now I'm trying to learn the marketing side, right? Which the guys are amazing, have a lot of experience on that. But at the same time, just knowing that your biggest development on investors' relationship is in the existing circle.
Yeah.
I mean, it just makes it so great. And that's how I pretty much build my business. So it became like 5, 10, 20, up to 200 investors today that I have relationship with them investing in different projects.
That's amazing. So Jen, I can see that the passion is there for helping other women real estate investors get better at raising capital. Awesome. Can you give us poor guys a tip or two to help us get better at the feminine strengths in raising capital, the relationship strengths, the scratching beneath the surface? So if you were talking with a typical type A male personality capital raiser guy who's open to the idea of trying something different, what would be the first thing you would recommend that they do differently?
Yes, I mean, that's a great point, right? Especially because the type A tends to, you do this and you do this and you do that. I think that the first thing, and this was the most important thing for me, the fact that I did not speak a lot of English when I moved to this country allowed me to develop a lot of listening skills.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So listening is critical, especially when you don't understand, you're trying to figure things out. That 10 or 15 extra minutes that you take asking questions to understand the investor, whether you're talking to a banker, a family office, a hedge funds, I'm going to tell you this, I close my deals in 5 minutes, but it's those 10 to 15 minutes that allows me to be a great closer, right? Because I'm listening, I'm asking the questions. What is important for you? Yes, I have an agenda. I want them to invest, but I put my agenda aside for a minute. Mm-hmm. I might guide them, but I'm not going to guide them until I understand what do they need. Or I spend the time understanding what they need, talking to them or doing the research. So for the type A, if they spend more time, those 10 to 15 minutes, knowing what is important for that family office, for that retail investor, for that bank, and why is important for them, I gotta tell you, the closer process is, okay, can you send me the paperwork? The objections overcoming are little to none, right? You might have one or two because it's questions, but it's spending that time listening and understanding the need of this organization or individual, you will achieve more without you having to pressure. So it becomes like this capital magnet that pretty much is just vibrates and align. And it make it very simple, but definitely that's one of them. Listen, right? Yeah. Ask questions. Spend more time listening than talking. It's as simple as that.
It is. It's very simple, very hard for some of us to do. But yeah, that's yeah.
Because so let's go.
So somebody might be hearing this is going, okay, ask more questions. What kind of questions? What do you find to be the best questions to ask to really elicit from somebody their why or their underlying needs or wants?
Yes. I mean, it depends. For me, I always I do filters, right? Decision making, where this lead is coming from. If it's a referral or if it's someone that was reached at, right? Mm-hmm. If it's a referral, I'm going to tell them, like, tell me you came to this person. What attracts you to this kind of investment? Mm-hmm. I just want to understand why is that they want to invest. The second thing is, when was the last time that you invest in these type of deals? Mm-hmm. And sometimes a lot of them have experience, but I want to hear what they invested on. Great. And then I will ask them, why do you like that deal? And what did you not like about that deal? Mm. And what I'm doing there is just I'm figuring out their decision process, David. It's just as simple as that, right? And as they talk more, I do my first close without offering deals, without doing anything like that. I say, so Mr. Dave, so what you're telling is, if I can find a deal for you that meet this requirement, you will be willing to invest. How much money do you like to invest in these type of deals? First closer, because then that person is telling you the decision making. I'm following their decision making. I'm understanding. Awesome. And then I do a very bold, funny question. It's like, so what do you do with this money once that you get the returns?
Ah, there you go.
And people are like, well, this they start explaining to me, sometimes want them for the college, for their kids. So if it's a woman, they wanted to pay their hair, because that can get very expensive. If it's a guy, he just want to buy a Ferrari. And I'm like, you know what? That sounds great. And in fact, I know the CPA that shows you how to pay your Ferrari pretty much with your investment so you don't pay any taxes. Should I do an introduction? So you see what's happening there. I'm understanding their needs. Yes, I did a small closer. Yes, I might have a deal or not. But not only they're feeling seen and understood, and now I'm providing even more value. Right? Yeah. And I said, okay, that sounds great. Yeah. And then I said, by the way, I have a deal. I don't know if these deals is for you. Based on what you told me, this is what it is. I'm going to send you the paperwork and want you to do 3 things. So that's when my type A male kind of started coming. Yeah. I want you to look at this, A, B, C, D. After you do that, you're going to tell me, I'm going to follow up maybe next week or next Wednesday. Is that a good time? So that's my second instruction. So we can go all over your questions. We have those conversations. Great. But if you're the decision maker only, or you need someone else, I would love for you to bring them too, because I want to make sure that they understand every question that they need to understand so you guys can discuss and make your decision. So see what I did there? There's no selling, there's no pushing and all of that. Now, if it goes to the other side, I make some assumptions and I talk to them and I ask the same questions, but I do the statement. Mr. Family Office, I understand that you do these type of investments, and I want to make sure that we are aligned or not. But in order to figure that out, tell me more about the type of investments you did in the past that you really enjoy. Right? So those 3 questions, it takes 15 minutes, Dave. 15 minutes just listening. And you're learning how they make decisions. What do they value? If there is alignment. Because when there is alignment, there's very little resistance. It's as simple as that. But that will be the type of advice I will give.
No, that was pure gold, Jen. So thank you so much for sharing that with some of us dunderhead males that aren't good at that stuff. So yeah, that is fantastic. Jen, time flies when we're having fun. I know there's going to be a lot of people that would love to connect with you. If they do, what's the best way for people to reach out if I get more Jen Maldonado?
Yeah, pretty much that's my website, www.Jen, Maldonado, MALDONADO.com. And, I share there what we do.
Fantastic. Jen, thanks so much. We'll have to have you on the show again to continue the conversation because this has been great.
Thank you for having me, Dave.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you on the next one.
Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewsyou.com.